Hello, everybody. We are in the unit 7, opening your eyes to the world, releasing your curiosity. Opening your eyes to the world and releasing your curiosity. This is the unit 7 in our series, Holistic Education for a Passionate Life. The beauty and the wonder of the world. This is something which you have to listen very carefully, because we do have that, but it's very important to listen in deep silence what we're going to read now. The most beautiful thing is one's power to see, to grasp, to understand the world. It is man's nature to think, to have the power to understand how the world works. From the time that man came into being from the ape, right? And he evolved and became a man or a woman like you and me, he began to wonder. When looking at the world that present itself to him, especially the very receptive great men, man looked at the twinkling stars, those lifeless things hanging in the sky in countless numbers, and he wondered, what are those stars? The world, the huge expanse of space, and he in the midst of it. He looked at the phenomenon of night and day. No, the way the sun came upon the east and set on the west, day in and day out, with no break, relentlessly and monsoon. Uniformly, he observed the way seasons came into being, and from spring tomorrow to winter and the summer, and he wondered. He wondered about the earth too, hanging in the wide expanse of space, and all things falling on its surface when left free from a height. He wondered about the gravity. He wondered at the pull of the earth that could act with no contact. He felt the air around but could not see it. And he wondered about a thing that exists but can't be seen. See? This is the point. I'm giving a depth to the subject. He wondered about winds, and sometimes very strong winds like storms. He wondered about the fury of nature. This man or woman looked at life, plants, animals, and himself too, and herself too, and wondered about life itself. The whole mechanism of each plant, animal, having learned to survive. About himself too, he wondered. Is there a creator, or is man simply another type of species? He wondered about his own capacity to wonder. He wondered about his own capacity to wonder, to think, to grasp, and to understand things around him. What does man fear? Why is there joy and fear and guilt, jealousy, love, feelings? What are the roots of these feelings? Who is man? What is man? What is man's life? What is death? Just finishing? Or what? See, these are questions. This is not some mature questions which comes in later life. This is the question which is always around us. What is the strange, uplifting feeling one gets when suddenly one feels totally free, when there's nothing to think? Even these feelings. Man wondered most about man himself, man and woman, and how he or she could and should live. Step by step, man got the answers. He really got the answers. He saw deep patterns and laws at work, a deep regularity on things. He understood science by his eyes opening up. There came many discoveries in the history of man. Man understood heat and light and sound, electricity, magnetism, atomic structure, reactions, chemical changes, seasons, earthquakes, volcanoes, formation of mountains, oceans and winds, formation of earth and the solar system, the birth and death of stars, including the sun. He understood the chemical reactions, processes in the bodies of man and animals and plants. So this is what we learn in school. But this can be learned so well, right? Properly. Now we are understanding that we have to really learn it, we have to understand it, we feel it, see it. Step by step, man uncovered so many hidden workings in the universe. He understood by implication the beast and man also. In history, the brainwashed, grasping man, and out of terror, living with that blind state of mind that believes anything told. Fanatics, terrorists, a dead, unthinking, unfeeling mind. Only a man, I've just given a feel here, only a man or a woman who learns by opening his eyes and becomes aware and conscious is truly educated, and only such a person can live in deep joy. So we are talking about wonder, right? And wonder questions about the world which match the syllabus. We are going to go to next. Wonder questions which match the syllabus. This is the discovery I made very late. I discovered at 34 that all the things which I was taught I didn't understand. At 34 I understood what is really understanding. So in later life sometimes we understand the depth in a subject. Most people go through the whole life without even understanding it. But a child can understand. This is a very profound point. Maybe something new to you also. Could be new to you also, the person who is watching this. An assignment to know the world in essence. But the how to learn this whole about this whole world is actually very simple. If you are sensitive to the questions. So we are giving a list of all the wonder questions. It's like an assignment for self-learning, for a teacher or an educator or a parent, or if you're a self-educator, an assignment to know the world in essence. Do you know the answers to the following 100 natural questions? If you do, you're on the road to be on top in your profession. So that's a carrot I've given you. If not, know these answers. They would give you the power. Know these answers really. Okay? But know the answers really. You should be convinced. So wonder questions. This is a very wonderful thing, you know. We learn subjects, but when we grow old, maybe after 20s or 30s, we realize one day, now I got it. Now I understood. That is the concept here. As simple as that. And how do you get that? You get it by simply understanding what I've just told now. Seriously. That there is something called understanding that you missed it. Find out how the whole world works by getting the answers to the following wonder questions. Try this. Go to Google and find out. History, physical science, natural science, geography. Some hints leads have been given. Also, Google will give you good answers. Go for the answers. Listen to many videos and suddenly it strike you. Oh God, I got it now. And when you know all the answers to all the subjects, you get a picture of the world. You really understand. You come out of your mediocre, average way of looking at the world, you know, your conformist way of living, and you come out into the wider world of exciting leadership. History. How did the world, universe come into existence? The clue is Big Bang. How are all the billions of stars formed? The clue is nuclear fusion reactions. Read properly now. How are all the billions of galaxies formed? Again, read it. These are gaps maybe. Some things you know, some things you don't. How did our solar system really come into existence? How was the earth formed and how did it become what it is today? Right? How did the first life come into existence? Really? Conditions then led to the formation of life. Have you ever wondered life came from nature? And that was repeated in the lab. They repeated that creation of life in the lab in the 1920s. Life came. See that experiment. How did evolution bring about around million kinds of species on Earth? Each adapted to its surroundings. How and when did man and woman come into existence? What was the life and struggles of the early man? Now we go to history. The nomad faced the ice age. When did the early man settle down in one place and why? He discovered agriculture. How did the ancient civilizations come into being? What is the story of the Egyptian civilization, Mesopotamian civilization, specific contribution also. Story and specific contribution of the Sumerian civilizations, ancient Chinese civilizations, Vedic civilization, Judaism. What is the story of Judaism? Who are the Jews we talk about? What is the story of the Buddha? Who are the Buddhists? What is exactly what he said? What was his influence also? What was the story and the great contributions of the Greek civilization? There was a birth of philosophy, serious inquiry into fundamental questions like we're doing now. Socrates and Plato and Aristotle had a great influence. I would say that they actually made Western history on later history and still influences us today. What was the story of the rise and fall of the Roman Empire? What was the story of Jesus? How did Christianity and when did Christianity become such an official political power? You know its power. What were the Dark Ages? What was life then? What is the story of Prophet Muhammad and Islam? How did Islam come into being? If you know these even divisions of religions will go away because you'll know from the sources from where all this came. What were the Crusades and why did they happen? What was the Renaissance and how did it transform the way the world thought, worked and lived? It was actually the rebirth of the Greek spirit. What was the Reformation? Church doctrines were reformed. They wanted more authenticity, more honesty in the church. Why did it happen? Christianity challenged from within. It was challenged from within. What are the roots of the scientific revolution? The clue here is mathematics came, natural laws and experimentation came, and the father of this revolution was Newton. What are the major core discoveries that happened during the scientific revolution and after in physics, chemistry and biology? And this is our whole high school syllabus. What is the story of the American Revolution? How was America born? Go through it. Go through any video. And we also have our own videos. You can go through our videos also. What is the story of French Revolution? We have got very wonderful history books and we have a full course on history. Every topic question here has been answered in that. What is the story of the French Revolution? Why and how did it happen? What is the story of Napoleon? Who was Karl Marx? What did he propagate? Communism. What is the story of the Russian Revolution? What is the story of World War I? Why did it happen? What is the Great Depression? What is the story of World War II? Why did it happen? What is the Cold War? How did the USSR fall? What are the problems in the world today? All these above stories from history, I would say, are fascinating. Google the questions. And actually, you get more and more questions from these questions. These are not all the questions, but these are core questions. And from this core will flower your understanding of history. And you will actually understand the whole world. You will love the answers and really wonder and grasp the world also. What does history teach us with respect to those problems? If you answer all of the above slowly and carefully, you will come to your own actually obvious understanding of the world. Physical and natural sciences. Why don't things fall in space? Really? Why do things fall on Earth? Why don't bodies move in space? Moving in space ever stop? These actually, the clue is Newton's laws of motion. Why do bodies weigh lesser on the moon and nothing in space? Why do bodies weigh lesser on the moon and they don't weigh at all in space? They float. Why is it so as difficult? But why is it as difficult to move a body in space as on Earth or anywhere? This is the difference between mass and weight. How do rockets go up? This is Newton's third law. Why do the planets go around the sun? How does any body go around a circle? Google this. How does any body go around in a circle? Around another body. Why do some bodies float and others sink? You need to understand the difference between mass and density. Why does an iron nail sink and a ship made of iron float? Same as previous question. You have to understand the difference between density and mass. How does a pressure cooker work? When do we feel hot and when cold? Your hands can deceive you. Google this question. What are the three ways by which heat is transmitted? Conduction, convection, radiation. That's a clue. What's the difference between heat and temperature? It is interesting. Please Google this. Why do things become heated when there is friction of any kind? Right? Why does heating expand substances? Yeah, why? Why do some things become heated more quickly and others more slowly? How and why does solid become liquid and liquid a gas when heated? Why it becomes an asking? All the questions connected to heat is rooted in the basic question, what is heat? Why is a solid a liquid and a gas, each in that particular state? It means, why is a solid, liquid, and gas a gas? Really, it's a good question. Why, how do we hear sound? Really? Why are some sounds loud and others soft? Why are some sounds at a higher pitch? Like that. And others at a lower pitch. What's the difference? How does the ear work? Why is music pleasant to hear? What is music? Why and when do we hear an echo? Ask yourself, why can't we see the vibrations and how can such a minute pressure make sounds? You get my point. What is needed to see things? Do we see light or do we see because of light? This is a very funny question. Do we see light or do we see because of light? Then what is light? How do we know that light travels in straight lines? How and why do we get reflection of light? How do we see ourselves in the mirror? Why can't we see air or glass? How do we see colors? How do you get the sensation of blue, Why does a prism break light into the 7 colors? How do we get a rainbow? How are mirages formed? Like, you are going on a road and from far you feel some water is there. When you come close, it's not there. Some reflection is happening. They are called mirages. How do microscopes and telescopes and spectacles work? Light is invisible. There's a clue here. What does it mean? If you can answer this, you have got the whole concept of light, really. How do motors work? How do generators work? Find out. What are electromagnetic waves really? What's happening when you hit a number in the cell phone? How do we know that atoms exist? Dalton's law of definite proportion was the first lead. There's something inside. Find out. All the answers are there. You'll be shocked to know that all these so-called wonder questions have actually answers. What is an electron and how was it discovered? What is a proton? How is it discovered? What is a neutron? How is it discovered? Well, how are electrons distributed in atoms? Maybe you have read this in syllabus, but find out how exactly in reality it's happening like that. What are nuclear fusion reactions? Don't just memorize the answers. Find out the answers. And what is happening in the sun? What is the nuclear fission? What is radioactivity? What are valence electrons and how do they determine the properties of things? How and why do two substances combine to give a chemical reaction? This is a very wonderful thing. What are acids and bases? What are metals and non-metals? Which means, why are metals metals and non-metals non-metals? What are their properties? What are the main processes in plants and animals? What is a cell? What are the core ideas of evolution and mutation? What is genetics and the function of DNA? That would be hard. Geography. What is the reason for the seasons? Yeah. And also, why do the seasonal patterns vary across the earth? How do we get winds and what are the major large-scale winds? Why do we get earthquakes? What is inside the earth? And how did we know that? We never went inside. Why do we get volcanoes? How were the oceans and deserts and mountain ranges formed? How was the moon formed? Why is the earth tilted? Why does the earth rotate around itself and around the sun? Revolve around the sun. What are the time zones and what do they depend on? Now, the point is, we have got a large number of wonderful questions. There will be many more questions, but all these questions will get interconnected very easily. This is a great discovery. If we can really, I'm telling you, you can take it from me, trust me on that. Even if you can answer broadly, even you're broadly convinced also, you'll start feeling the whole, you'll start feeling the power of knowing, really. You'll know, there's something called knowing, which we talked about in the introduction. So that completes this wonderful unit. The next unit is how a teacher should be, Unit 8. Thank you.